Welcome back to Deep Earth Bunker Radio. I'm Rob Reynolds. I'm with Dixon Troyer. Scott Bales is again off-site, putting a bunker in for one of our clients. And Dixon, what do we have coming up?
Actually, you just heard our next guest coming up. Charlie McGrath, he was just talking about Bioemergency Foods. It's, number one, that's a great product. It just add water, a lot easier than MREs. But Charlie, I just want to say he is well-versed in U.S. economics and politics, and he will inform us, just like we do, what isn't heard on mainstream news. I will say Charlie is more well-versed than I am on this stuff. So, Charlie, you there? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, guys. Rob and Dixon, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your kind words.
Hey, how about hearing yourself on the commercial right before we...
That was kind of weird. I hear myself, I'm like you guys, as Rob mentioned. I host a radio program as well, and the producer turns down the advertisements during my commercial breaks. So from a level 10 to, like, say, a level 2, I can barely hear it. So the only time I can hear myself is if I strain and listen during the commercial breaks, or if I listen to an archive rebroadcast. But it was kind of interesting to hear me on somebody else's program. It was kind of cool.
I'm glad that we brought that to your attention. Well, Charlie, we got a lot to talk about. As
Yes,
you know, there's a lot going on. There's elections. There's a lot of BS going on. I'm going to let you just take over. What right now do you think is essential to us to listen to in current news?
Oh, wow. In current mainstream media, I think you're better off to tune into football because you're not going to get anything that is going to be relevant towards your future. In fact, there are things that'll be sold to you as being relevant to your future, but it truly will be. It'll just be negative relevance to your future. And what I'm talking about is quantitative easing. We're being sold that this is a good idea. I was listening before the program. Let me ask you right now, because I have a little feedback there. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you fine. You're clear.
Okay, good. Okay, I heard you guys talking before the break. We were talking about this upcoming election, and here's the quandary. And I get to a place in doing this that it's utter frustration because, look, Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, I'm going to give you my opinion, and we can argue if you want, or we can debate it if you want. There is no difference coming. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if 500 other parties break up the vote, a little percentage here, there, the other one, and we end up with whatever, Obama or Robama, however you want to call it. These guys are one and the same. I know we're supposed to believe that there's a difference, that one of them is going to turn the ship away from fascism and turn us back towards a constitutional republic. The truth is, and one of you mentioned, and I apologize, I didn't write down who said it, but one of you had mentioned previous administrations. What we need to understand and look at is the steady drumbeat, the steady march we are on to totalitarian fascism. And it matters not who is, what color of suit they're wearing, be it red or blue. We end up in more wars, more build out of the security and military-industrial complex, more borrowing money that we don't have, more destabilizing regions of the world so we have easy access to their energy resources, and the beat goes on. Now, I believe that everything we're seeing right now, and it's even worse than I thought it was going to be, is a matter of divide and conquer. You guys have seen, I'm sure, some of these videos coming out where political activists on both sides, these are people that have been completely co-opted. They're not even thinking for themselves. They wait for the email alert to come out from the GOP or from the Democratic Party, and then they go out and act on it. And there's all kinds of videos you can do a search on and see these activists that are turning violent. They're tearing up each other's signs. They're throwing excrement on party buildings, and the finger pointing. We knew it was going to be bad. We knew it was going to be we'll divide and conquer and not let the folks, or hopefully the folks won't pay attention to what's going on. But it's even far worse than I thought it was going to be, and we still have a month to go in this run-up. I find it very, very interesting that the mainstream is doing, I believe, everything possible to keep this within a point or two of one another. We have Romney at the first debate. Oh, he surged. He really handed Obama his hat when it came to the debate, and Obama looks weak, and so now we have this underdog feeling going for the president. So in the next debate, we'll have him come out and knock one out of the park. And when we get down to November, it's going to be 1 or 2 point difference, and the outcome is going to be, my opinion is Obama's going to win the thing again, but it will be completely and utterly irrelevant, because when we get in there, the day after, day one, as they like to say, we're still going to have a Federal Reserve, we're still going to have a breakdown of the Constitution, we're still going to have troops on foreign soil invading countries, we're still going to be destabilizing regions of the world, killing their leadership and implementing those that are friendly to our special corporate interests that are funding Washington, D.C. We're still going to have to go through blue uniforms every time you want to climb on an airplane. We're still going to have a continuation of the build-out of the security industrial complex to the point where drones will be flying around your city 30,000 strong within the next few years. So the notion that we somehow can affect change through the ballot box is, in my opinion, is a utter waste of time. And you know, I get in, probably the most arguments I get in outside of the radio program is people who say we deserve what we get because we voted these people in. No, we did not. We did not vote these people in. These people garnered the financial support of a bunch of private corporations that have the wherewithal, because they were bailed out, because they're spending our future to get the kind of legislation passed that they want. They have those people backing them. And because they do, they have the mainstream media backing them. And because they do, they have the political parties on the left and the right backing them. Anybody else that wants to say anything, that no matter how much common sense it makes, no matter how good their intentions are, no matter if they were sent down here from God himself, they could not get a foot into our political system because of the corruption that has occurred between special corporate interests and Washington, D.C.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the answer to your question. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing great. And, all I wanted to say is that you mentioned we may disagree or have a debate on it. We're not going to have a debate because everything you said is basically gospel and to my ears. You said it very elegant, and I agree. But my main question is, Charlie, is that, who do you vote for? The worst one to the best one, and there really isn't any equals. But the thing is what can we do to change it? Because it seems like it's just a lose-lose situation here.
Yeah, again, my opinion, nothing. Matter of fact, here's the deal. If you want to do something to affect change, don't go through the body scanner when you go to the airport. Make a TSA person fill you up, slow down the line, slow down commerce in that way. If you want to really bring this change to the system, get on any program that you think, not you personally, obviously, but any program that is draining this beast in Washington, D.C., get on the emergency unemployment benefits, get on the food stamps, get on anything and everything to help break this thing sooner, because we're not going to have change in this country or on this planet until we get into a real crisis situation, a real financial crisis situation. And then we're going to be grateful for folks like you and Deep Earth Bunker Radio for being out there telling people why we're in the position we're in, who brought us here. Because if status quo is 160 million Americans drawing a check from the government and the government buying this block, if this is what has been used to paper over the obvious depression we're in, we need to get that paper and tear it off the eyes of so many people who are completely asleep. And I think if we would have had a major collapse in 2008 and entered into severe depression, which the economy wants to do. It wants to depress. It wants to liquidate this debt. And it's not. There's no easy road to take. But I think that a financial collapse, is the less dangerous road for humanity. So if you want to put your efforts into making change, stay away from the ballot box and go see what program you can get on and bring this thing down from within. Because guess what? There's no difference coming. I mean, we're gonna go down the road building up more and more and more and more sovereign debt. We've already, as somebody mentioned before the break, we've added $5 trillion in the last couple of years. We're going to keep this going, and every time we do this, we just get a notch higher on the ladder, and we're not looking down to see how far we're going to fall when it all comes apart. Like I said, if we'd have done this in 2008, well, we'd have $5 trillion less to worry about in sovereign debt. But as long as we can keep papering over and pretending, keep placating big parts of the population, then to think that we are all okay because the NFL's still on and your lights are still on and beer's still relatively cheap, well, nothing's going to change. If we go into a severe collapse, that people must be forced to take a look at where this nation's at and why we've been brought to this position, then at least we would have an awake base that could say, okay, this is why we got here. These are the people we need to arrest, perp walk, put in prison, and return to a constitutional republic. That's my hope, because I agree with you. When you say, things aren't changing and who to vote for, and, it's a confusing question. But I think to the point where I completely and totally believe we are in the police state. We're going to be led down a road that is going to be a complete totalitarian rule on the end of an engineered crisis, on the backside of an engineered false flag attack or engineered financial terrorist event. And then on the backside of that, they have an answer for you, which is, just give us more of your freedom, more of your financial future, and we'll upwardly integrate the power into fewer and fewer hands to this global financial governance, and we'll all be sitting back and, there'll be, if we go to the plan, the announced agenda, there'll be a lot of people that are just begging, for this to be implemented because times will be very difficult. If we had a shock to the system, and we collapse it instantaneously, and because of the hard work of folks in alternative media, and even some mainstream media are waking up to it, that you would hope that there would be an opportunity to hold accountable the people who brought us here.
Charlie, Iceland seems to be a bright spot. They seem to have kind of taken over their financial affairs, kicked out some of the bankers.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this Federal Reserve audits, and shouldn't we just get rid of do we even need an audit? Shouldn't we just get rid of the Federal Reserve?
Well, I'm completely for that, no doubt about it. Look at Ron Paul when he's been working for this thing forever. When it gets a little bit of traction, it just slips by the wayside. And I guess I really don't know at this point how I'm all for auditing the Federal Reserve, seeing who they gave our financial future to, and then liquidating the debt that they hold against the American people. I'm 100% for that. But again, how is that accomplished in our current system? It's just absolutely not going to be. We can have all the people in the Congress pledging, from soup to nuts. 425 members of Congress can pledge that they're going to support a piece of legislation. So what? It doesn't mean anything because the people that are sitting on high in the House of Representatives and the Senate, these folks who are in Washington, D.C., longer than a lot of desperate dictators were going around the world and killing in the name of democracy, allegedly. They sit there so long that they attain so much power that they can influence anything that is coming to the floor for a vote. And, something like the Audit the Fed bill, it sounded great, and it went halfway there, guys. Our team did pretty good. We went halfway there. But guess what? The Senate's going to kill it, and it'll be dead on arrival. And even if it did make it through both houses, there's not a president that's going to be put before us from the mainstream political system that would ever challenge, these banking elite who truly run this country.
Well, that kind of makes me recall something I read earlier about these executive orders.
Hey, I was going to say, I hope I'm not depressing anybody, but you do have the bunkers, so at least you guys have a backup plan.
And our customers, yes, definitely. There are a lot of people that are planning for their safety. But right. These executive orders, Obama, I guess, when you compare Obama to some of the previous presidents, his number of executive orders that he has signed is astronomical. And with these executive orders, this privilege, I guess, of the president to do this, it almost becomes a dictatorship.
Oh man, you're not even kidding there. I mean, and I work hard to try to lump all the presidents together. Obama, Bush, whatever, Romney, whoever the next one's going to be. I really do try to lump them together because I think there's a lot of energy that folks in alternative world that spend, chasing rabbits. The birther issue. Guess what? He wasn't born in this country. Guess what? He's the president of the United States, and he's going to continue to be the president of the United States, regardless of how many people stand up and say you can bring the chief of the tribe to testify, and guess what? He's still going to be president. But you nailed it when you talked about executive orders and the expansion of government, the expansion of the authority of government. Everything from the Patriot Act to National Defense Authorization Act 2012, and now the nonstop onslaught of executive orders. And I don't think most people realize that probably, I don't know if I had to put a percentage on it. It probably, if we knew the truth, 80-90% of these things that he signs into law through executive order, I'm doing air quotes, law through executive order, really don't do anything right now. None of this, NDAA 2012, that doesn't really affect an American right now. And gosh, the president said in his signing statement that he wouldn't do it. He would never, usurp an American's rights under the Constitution. So a lot of the stuff that they're talking about and have put into law through executive order, the vast majority, unless they are listening to a Deep Earth Bunker Radio or Wide Awake News Radio or some other alternative outlet, they're not going to hear about it. They're not going to know about it. And even if they did, there'd be some local politician, local congressman or senator saying, yeah, this is necessary to protect the nation. It's when the proverbial you-know-what hits the fan, or the Reichstag moment. We were talking about this on my program earlier. When the Reichstag moment occurs, and then all of a sudden you have all this legislation that is just waiting in the wings so that they can implement this and truly watch the boot heel of tyranny be dropped like a hammer onto the people. That's what scares me the most about these executive orders is it's setting the stage, it's setting the chessboard. So what are they setting it for? Why is House Bill, I think it's 5655, recently, September 28th, brought to the floor, that is demanding that FEMA comes up with a plan for mass fatalities, not casualties, mass fatalities in this country. It almost is as if they're foretelling us what's coming. We know these executive orders giving more power to the executive branch. These executive orders that take away your rights in emergency situations. These pieces of legislation, such as NDAA 2012, that makes the folks on Deep Earth Bunker Radio potential gizmo detainees because they speak out and say something that's considered belligerent or supporting a group that is considered belligerent. And this is what really is terrifying. And I
always say I'm on a list. I always say, I'm on a list right now. I am. And I like to shoot, and I said I'm going to buy 1,000 rounds of AR because I have an AR.
Oh, yeah.
And I go like, I'm really just using these for targets, really. And I know I'm on a list. And so are you, Charlie. We may be roommates.
I know I am. I've had people send me messages through my YouTube channel and emails to the program telling me specifically that they have made phone calls to turn me in because I'm so unpatriotic and that I'm dangerous. So I have absolutely no doubt that I'm on somebody's radar. However, I will say this: over the weekend, I went and purchased. Actually, Saturday, I went and purchased I'm trying to think of the make of it. It's a Ruger, but it's a little super lightweight. I'm hoping you guys like an LCR. I think LCR Ruger, super lightweight, super compact, 22 revolver. And I was
a little back pocket one, right?
Yeah, it's tiny, it's hammerless, it weighs just a couple ounces, holds 8 rounds, and I got it mainly because I bought my girlfriend an automatic, a Walther automatic 22, just for protection, and she can operate it, but I wish I would have bought her a revolver from the get-go because it's much simpler and easy to remember in a bad situation how to use it. So anyway, long story short, I'm standing there thinking, well, and in fact, I looked around for a convenient one, and it's weird. 22 revolvers, even though they seem kind of, like a no-brainer, there's not a lot of people reselling them. I don't think a lot of guys buy 22s because they're such a small caliber. But I was looking through friends and Craigslist and that kind of thing, so I could get one, quote, off the radar. But I couldn't find one. I wanted one. Went in, and I was I was sitting there waiting for this, this pimple-faced 18-year-old kid selling me it to get permission from the government to sell it to me. And two things happened. One, I was ashamed of myself for for a minute, even worrying, what the answer was going to be. And then that turned into anger on why the hell do I have to wait? Why do I have to sit here and wait so I can have somebody in a government bureaucracy say, yeah, he's clear, good to go. But anyway, a longer story short, I cleared, so apparently I'm not on the can't buy a firearm list.
You're not list, but you better buy now, Charlie. You better not. Well, we're going to jump
Load up.
Before we jump out, I just want to say, all you people on Charlie's YouTube that says he is not a patriot, this man served in a Bush Gulf War. And number two, he's speaking out because he loves his country. So on that note, we're going to go out to commercial. We're going to come back with this war hero in my book after these messages.
Oh, thank you. That was very kind. Thank you.
Life as you know it can literally change overnight. Do you have a plan for shelter? Southern Bunkers designs and installs shelters unique to coastal states where it's not if disaster will strike, but when. Owned and operated by public safety professionals, Southern Bunkers has been protecting families in Florida and South Carolina for over 2 decades. Southern Bunkers is your source for above and below ground bunkers, safe rooms, panic rooms, and FEMA storm shelters, designed for every need and budget. For a free consultation, visit www.southernbunkers.com. www.southernbunkers.com.
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here with a special offer from my friends at BuyEmergencyFoods.com. It's the BuyEmergencyFoods.com QE3 special. That's right, the Fed has reached into its bag of extraordinary measures one more time, only to pull out more of the same, but this time, there's no limit to the money printing. This promises one thing, higher cost of basic commodities such as energy and, of course, food. Guys, at under $1.50 a serving, the BuyEmergencyFoods.com Legacy Premium Freeze-Dried Storable Food is not only the best tasting, not only the most healthy, not only the highest quality freeze-dried storable food on the market, it's an outstanding value as well. Be prepared for QE to infinity with BuyEmergencyFoods.com QE3 special. All orders of $200 or more will receive a free portable water filtration bottle system. Just use promo code QE3 at checkout. BuyEmergencyFoods.com. Call them at 888-543-7345. That number again, 888-543-7345. Better yet, visit them online at BuyEmergencyFoods.com.
I love that I can get on the computer and place my order, and I have a full kitchen's worth of groceries first thing in the morning. It's like magic. It's like Santa Claus.
Bellevue mom Linda loves Amazon Fresh's home grocery delivery service.
I work full-time, and it's hard to find the time to do the grocery shopping. And if I do have time, I don't really want to take 2 little kids to the store.
So, what do you like about Amazon Fresh?
You don't need to go to the store. You don't need to worry about taking your kids in. You don't need to worry about making the time to do it.
We literally live about 3 blocks from a grocery store, and it's a nice grocery store. We don't do any large-scale shopping there anymore because it's just way more convenient to use Amazon Fresh.
Amazon Fresh. Fill your cupboards, not your schedule. Visit AmazonFresh.com.
We are back. This is Deep Earth Bunker Radio. I'm Rob Reynolds. I'm with Dixon Troyer. Scott Bales is, again, on the job site, putting a bunker in for one of our clients who is concerned for their safety and their family's safety and taking care of their needs. And we are on with Charlie McGrath. Charlie, you were touching on the executive orders and all the legislation and how it really doesn't currently affect us, but they are putting things in place as they have been over the last few decades, and also through the international arena with the Small Arms Treaty just got passed. Yeah. It may not immediately affect us, but it could down the road.
Yeah, definitely. That the Small Arms Treaty, remember, it was hailed at first as, oh yeah, we got this thing stopped, and then we found out that no, it was just a kick down the road, and the second go around it passed. Right now, I believe the White House is working on an executive order to cover cybersecurity, because cybersecurity has been it's been on the agenda for quite some time to get some kind of bill that gives government control over the internet, and it has been defeated time and time again. A lot of credit has to be given to some of the big internet sites like Google to win dark for the day, and Facebook and those kind of things. But so now there's an executive order in the work to, of course, protect us from the threat of these terrorists that are branching out into being able to shut down our power grid and that kind of thing through the use of a computer. But it's all about control, isn't it? It's all about we need to gain control over everything, and I'm talking from energy resources to the free exchange of information and ideas. It's all about taking the power away from you, the individual, to make your own decisions, and then put it in the hands of somebody who claims that they have your best interest at heart. And some of these things that they try to take away, they can't just do it willy-nilly. They need to be in the midst of a crisis in order to do it. And I've talked in some of my videos over the last couple of years about the governed by crisis mentality, and that's truly what we see. This is how we get these executive orders. This is how we get legislation that is willingly passed with the cover of crisis as the umbrella. And if people would wake up and realize that what they're really doing is they're taking this document, the foundation of this country, and just shredding it, all in the name of safety and all in the name of we're going to have prosperity if we just give a little more of our financial authority and financial future to fewer and fewer people. But what really occurs is we end up as being indentured servants or outright slaves. And when I think back over the last, I guess, 2 years, and Jean-Claude Trichet was the first that I really tried to monitor. He was the former head of the ECB, the European Central Bank, and I really tried to monitor and get a notion of how many times this guy has talked about global governance. And it was amazing. I mean, I found scores of times where he, in any opportunity, would talk about the need for financial global governance. And that's tantamount to saying, one world government. If you control the finances of a nation, you control the nation. And as far as my opinion goes, and as far as I'm concerned, that has been the agenda, and I think we see it unfolding now, and it's going to continue to unfold until we have a collapse. And this collapse will either be brought on by the people not participating and standing up and saying enough is enough, or the collapse is going to occur at the prescribed time, so we can use this massive crisis in order to implement agenda. And again, you can't. The harder, the more you are going to destroy somebody's freedom, the bigger and more terrifying the crisis must be. But as you mentioned, executive orders. We look at the velocity of executive orders. We look at what some of these are saying. Mass casualties preparedness. These coffins that have been proven to be true on the internet over the last couple of years. We look at agencies from the Social Security Administration all the way to NOAA stocking up on 40 caliber human shredder ammunition. All this stuff's being done for a reason. We can either shove our heads in the sand and pretend that, it's our government going to take care of us and they have our best interest at heart, or we can do the only smart thing for ourselves and our family and our loved ones, and that is to look in the mirror and say, look, this isn't right. I don't know exactly what's going on. And you don't have to know exactly what's going on, but I know things are not right. And if I just sit back and watch it come at me, watch a bright light come at me, it will run me over like a freight train. So I'm going to, pull my head out of the sand. I'm going to take every piece of information I get and put it through the filter of reality, put it through the filter of common sense, and then look at the cause and effect of anything that is said by a politician or any piece of legislation that is drafted, and then realize where we're at. And you will have undoubtedly no question in your mind, in your heart, in your soul that things are not right, and it's best time that we get prepared. We be prepared mentally at the very minimum. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about Bi-Emergency Foods, and you guys have the bunkers. And these are great levels of preparedness. But here's the most important thing: if you're not mentally prepared for the fact that you've been lied to this entire time. You're basically, your whole adult life has been in a propaganda, a truth-free vacuum. You've been inundated. If you're not mentally prepared for that, then you've already lost, because you're going to wake up one day with that, knock on the door, or you open the door and you see the civil unrest in the streets, and it's going to absolutely paralyze you because you just can't believe this is really happening.
And I have woken up. Back in the early 90s is when I personally started reading about all the world events, and it's right. Just a shocker. But you mentioned the HR bill that's talking about mass fatalities, very strange legislation. And also something else that's kind of weird that just popped up, I think maybe a week or two ago. I don't know if you've heard this. Henry Kissinger made a comment about Israel will be no more in 10 years. Have you heard of that?
I didn't hear that or read that statement or that comment. Can you elaborate a little bit? I mean, was there more behind that? Is he talking about the threat of Iran getting a nuke?
I can't elaborate too much more beyond that, but since then I have just come across a lot of material that's popping up that's not necessarily new, but it's coming freshly onto our internet here about us sort of separating ourselves from the foreign policy of supporting Israel. It seems like we're kind of distancing ourselves from Israel in some of the intelligence agencies. There's been mention of an 82-page intelligence document that I guess was released earlier in the year, talking about us, the U.S., needing to break away from our foreign policy of supporting Israel. And I just wondered if you had any comments about our relationship with Israel and some of the things that are going on in the Mideast.
Well, yeah, you bet I do. Here's the deal. As far as supporting Israel, I mean, Israel has every right to defend itself. Israel's a sovereign nation. Israel's an incredible military power. They don't admit it, but the world community knows they have hundreds of nuclear weapons. They have one of the most advanced air forces in the world, and they have billions of dollars of aid from the United States coming. If Kissinger says anything on the destination of Israel, in my opinion, it's to stoke a base inside the United States in order to support more action inside the Middle East. Now, someone was very, very, one of you guys, and I haven't learned you guys' voice yet, so one of you was very, very kind talking about my military service. And look, we've been drawn into conflict in the Middle East, and it isn't a 12-year war in Afghanistan. I served in the Gulf War 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, and we've never left it. The goal is simple, in my opinion. We have very easy energy resources that are available close to the ground, and our refineries are set for the oil that comes out of that region of the world and their natural gas. We will continue to destabilize that region as long as it serves special corporate interests. We will continue to be there. We will continue to go in and topple regimes in the name of spreading democracy, in the name of spreading liberty. But the truth be told, all we do is we knock off a leader so we can install someone even more hideous, someone who will go ahead and open the floodgates for BP, Shell, and all the other corporate interests to come in there and access that energy. Every cause that you can imagine, from the Israeli cause to spreading democracy, Purple Finger Revolution, will be placated to in order to sell it to the people of the world. And unfortunately, for a long, long time, it has worked to a T. But when somebody talks about Israel and the Iranian threat, the Ahmadinejad statement of he's going to wipe Israel off the map. Here's the deal. I don't want to see Israel wiped off the map. I believe they have a right to exist, and they are a nation that has sovereignty, and they should be able to defend themselves. But I don't want to spend another American dime. I don't want to support any other nation through our financial aid, and I most assuredly do not want to see another ounce of blood or any more of our treasure being spent for these causes that are no more than, as far as I'm concerned, propaganda pieces. Israel can take care of Israel. We have enough trouble taking care of the United States, and I think we're not too many conflicts away from being shown to be an overextended paper tiger. I mean, we have troops that are 5-6 tours of combat in these wars. and we have, battle groups all over this planet, special operations forces all over this planet. And, I don't know how much longer we can keep spending $1 trillion a year and borrowing $1.4 trillion a year before we implode under our own hubris.
And, that's exactly where we're heading to is we overspend and we just print it. And how long can this last? Because we've overextended ourselves way, 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 way beyond. We're just lucky that we can print money, and keep us afloat. But when is that going to sink, and when it, and that's the thing, the main thing that we come around to a full circle with is preparing. We cannot control whether Barack Obama is going to do anything. Mitt Romney, neither one is going to change the world. It's aspiring downhill. They're not going to save it. But one thing that we can do, and this is our full circle, and Charlie's really good about this too, is prepare. Store your food, store your water, get your ammo. If you don't know how to shoot, learn how. And right. One of the things I really want to bring up is that Chris, owner of Buy Emergency Foods, hooked me up with Charlie. And I got to tell you, that guy's got one of the best products on the market. It's Buy Emergency Foods. Look it up. It's a freeze-dried food. It comes in a bag, and he put a ton of money into making it taste good. It's just a product.
Let me tell you, I just came back from Salt Lake. That's where their headquarters are, because he's been working with, and you're going to have to yell, guys, if we run it out of program. How much time do we have left? Let me ask you that.
We've got 9 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool, good. Because I'm looking at the clock, and I'm not sure when you guys when it ended. But okay, so I just returned from Salt Lake because Chris has been working with me. Chris Akin of Buy Emergency Foods has been working with me on my website and radio program, and he called me up one day and asked me, we collaborate a little bit on doing some spokesman work, and I said absolutely I would, because he'd sent me product and I've tasted it, and I knew about the fact that they were assumed to be the only one out there that was certified non-GMO. In speaking to him, as I'm sure you would agree, you find out real quick that Chris and the folks at BuyEmergencyFoods.com are, they're not here just to make a quick buck. They're not here pumping something and so they can get some sales and then move on. Chris is a prepper. I mean, like I said, I just came back from a meeting with him in Salt Lake, and the guy he's concerned about where we're headed, and he's also very, very concerned that his neighbors are prepared because he doesn't really want them knocking on his door when we have this crisis event. So you were 100% right on the money when you talked about the quality of their food. It is super high quality, GMO certified free. It is freeze-dried storable food, lasts up to 25 years, but go to the website, Wide Awake News. Go to wideawakenews.com, and then go back to deepbunker.com, and then click on the bioemergencyfoods.com banner, and then go check it out. I want to say this before I tend to run long. Obviously, you guys know this by this point. I tend to ramble on, but the QE3 special that you guys are running on the commercial promo there, great special. As a matter of fact, it's done so well for them. And so many people are looking at where we're at and deciding it's time to do something as far as putting some calories in the closet so they are there when they need them. That QE3 special was at $200. You got a free water filtration bottle, made 50 gallons of potable water, and the sale went so well they completely sold out. So I texted Chris during the break saying, hey, can we offer the emergency bottle instead? And he said, yes, he'll agree to do that. So you buy $200 worth of product at bioemergencyfoods.com, put in the promo code QE3, instead of a filtration bottle, you get a, what's that material called? The plastic that these water bottles are made out of, that you can run over with the truck and they won't break. Xylene. You get a free bottle, but it's filled with emergency preparedness items like waterproof matches, a little multi-purpose tool, a compass, a poncho. You can see all the details of the contents at the website, bioemergencyfoods.com.
Yeah, and what it is, guys, it's definitely, go to bioemergencyfoods.com, or you can go to our website, Deep Earth Bunker Radio, or Wide Awake News with Charlie, and just click on the site. One of the things that I want to say about this product, too, and try not to do a commercial or any of this stuff, This is really speaking from the heart, is that Chris sent me some food, and I look at it now. I've had packets of MREs, and I open it up, and it's like, what do I do with this? And it's like redirections, and then you have to pull it out, and then you have your chlorine pads that you pour water in, and then you stick the pouch in, and then it kind of cooks your food, and
right.
It's like you open it up. It's like no. This thing is in the bag. You pull the top off. You put a certain amount of warm water, hot water in it. You close it. You have a meal right there. It's that simple, and it tastes really good. And that's what really made me impressed with Chris. Like I said, I want certain kind of advertisers on our show, and Chris was right on the nose. I want someone that had like a real, true product for our listeners. Yeah,
you're 100% right. You're 100% right, and I'm telling you, I walked through the factory. I met the guy who produces. He's in charge of the production, and every other word out of his mouth is high quality, and he means it. And the facility is completely immaculate, and they're sitting there filling orders. They're filling them 100% before they ship them out. They employ 50 people. They've created jobs in this country, and because unfortunately, this is unfortunate at the same time. Because of the situation we're in, they are absolutely swamped with business. So, it's absolutely awesome that people are waking up and getting prepared. And look, if you listen to your radio program or mine, and you tune out even that amount of time out of the mainstream media, it doesn't take you long to figure out that you better be ready for the unexpected, because we've learned one thing over the last several years. The unexpected is exactly what's going to happen. We've learned that we will be governed by crisis, so you can be guaranteed of one thing. Crisis is coming, and we've also seen what happens when we have a Katrina, what happens when we have civil unrest. There's certainly been times in our recent history that were natural disasters, not man-made, but it left people in a position where they ventured out into danger, or they stayed home and they were prepared. One instance I can think of is my webmaster, Bonnie, lives in Alabama, and they went through all those tornadoes. And, just natural disaster, no evil conspiracy behind this. Tornadoes go through, and they have no power for 14 days. They're without electricity. So fortunately for her and her family, they obviously, she listens to the radio program since she's the webmaster, and she was ready. She had emergency food on hand. She had emergency water on hand. Fortunately, they didn't have to use their defense capabilities that they've taken on in order to protect the things that they had.
Really?
Yeah, so,
and that's what I was going to point out. That was just 2 weeks, and they had it already go to that level. I tell you, it takes 2 days of no power. 2 days of no power. And civil unrest is going to happen.
Absolutely. Can I tell you a real quick story? I know we have about 2 minutes left, but let me tell you, I'm going to make it a minute. And because this is what I think of, and this is one of the things that keeps me going when I'm making these videos or doing these the radio program or whatnot. I do remember in the Gulf War, I remember bombing, what was once a Western, the level of a Western nation as far as advancement and infrastructure, education, and just standard of living was almost up to Western standards in the 90s inside of Iraq. We bombed them for nearly 2 months, and I remember rolling into the first town when we crossed from Saudi Arabia into Iraq, and seeing what happens to us. It looks like any town small USA. Roll in, seeing what happens. The only thing that's different is you have 30-foot craters across the road because we had this air campaign there. And then I remember throwing MREs off of the track and to kids that were on the street. And I remember, older men, 50, 60 years old, beyond conscription age, pummeling these kids because they wanted the food. And this is what happens. We are all 6,000 calories away from turning into a Neanderthal. So, for the price, the 180-day serving bucket is under $200. That gives you a month, one individual, a month worth of food. And for the price of, a quarter of an iPhone 5, you can get this protection, and it's going to, it'll be around for 25 years. Hopefully you'll never have to use it. But if you do, you have it. And it's, it's absolutely critical, especially, looking at where we're at, and knowing that we're going to be governed into another crisis, not to be prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys, we're coming to the end of our show. Charlie, I got to tell you, it was an honor to have you on the show. You're amazing.
Oh,
and keep up the,
thanks, man.
Really keep up the good work. I mean, we're doing the work of the people, and we're just very honored to have you on there. Again, you guys,
very kind of you.
Yeah, and you guys prep. Check out emergencyfoods.com. Get water, get your guns, and hopefully, keep listening. Now your website is wideawakenews.com, and that's a radio
correct.
show?
You got it. Yep.
All right, you guys check out Charlie, too. Charlie, definitely, as you guys can tell, is just a plethora of information.
Charlie, I appreciate your perspective. I check in, and I do appreciate it, and thanks for being on our show.
Thanks, guys. I greatly appreciate it. Next time I come on, I'll make sure I get in the chat. I neglected doing that tonight, so sorry about that.
All right, Charlie, we'd love to have you on again.
Right on. I'll be here.
All right.
Thanks, guys.